One afternoon, as they swam beneath the water, Adia noticed how her heart raced every time she looked into Kanu's eyes. His presence soothed her, yet it also filled her with a longing she couldn't explain. "The river connects all things," Kanu repeated one day, his voice soft but serious. "But it also separates them." In the village of Soma, young Adia discovered a submerged palace hidden beneath the river. Guided by her courage, she freed a trapped spirit, bringing prosperity and peace to her people. However, Akon, a grief-stricken man from a neighboring village, was consumed by jealousy over Adia's success. Driven by his envy, he made a dark pact with the river's malevolent spirits, hoping to undo all that Adia had accomplished. As dark forces began to plague Soma, Adia and the villagers confronted Akon, leading to his redemption after a heartfelt plea. Yet, a warning echoed from the river. The river connects all things. Darker challenges still loom, and Adia's journey is far from over. Adia stood by the riverbank, listening intently to the gentle flow of the water. Ever since her village had been saved from the dark spirits, she felt the river's connection to her grow stronger. But today, the whisper was different, softer, yet more urgent. The river's voice echoed, "The river connects all things, Adia. All things." "What does it mean?" Adia whispered to herself, her brow furrowed. As she gazed into the water, she felt a pull, much like the time she had first encountered the submerged palace. Her heartbeat quickened as ripples formed on the surface, revealing the faint image of a figure, a spirit she had never seen before. The water began to swirl, and out of the depths emerged a young spirit, his form ethereal, with translucent blue skin and hair flowing like liquid silver. He looked at her with eyes as deep as the river itself, his expression both sorrowful and curious. "You freed the river spirit," he said, his voice smooth and melodic. "But there is more to this river than you know." Adia stepped closer, her pulse racing. "Who are you?" "I am Kanu," the spirit replied, his gaze softening. "A guardian of the river's depths, bound to it for centuries. But something is wrong. The balance is shifting again." Adia's heart pounded as she listened. She felt a strange connection to Kanu, one that stirred emotions she couldn't yet name. She knew that this was only the beginning of a new and deeper journey. For days, Adia visited the river, meeting Kanu in the depths where the palace once stood. Each time, their bond grew stronger. They spoke of the river's history, its secrets, and the forces that threatened its balance. But with every conversation, something more than curiosity blossomed between them. One afternoon, as they swam beneath the water, Adia noticed how her heart raced every time she looked into Kanu's eyes. His presence soothed her, yet it also filled her with a longing she couldn't explain. "The river connects all things," Kanu repeated one day, his voice soft but serious. "But it also separates them. We are bound to the water, Adia. You are not." Adia's heart sank at his words. "What do you mean? I've always felt connected to the river, to you." Kanu looked away, the sorrow in his eyes deepening. "The river flows through you, yes. But there are forces beyond even me that govern its will. I fear our connection may only bring you pain." Adia shook her head, refusing to accept his words. "No, the river brought us together for a reason. I'll fight whatever threatens this balance." But deep down, Adia knew there were no guarantees. The river had secrets, and Kanu was one of them, one she wasn't ready to let go of. Adia's peaceful moments with Kanu were soon interrupted. Strange events began to plague Soma once again. The river, once calm, now turned turbulent at night, and whispers of dark spirits spread through the village. One night, as Adia stood by the river waiting for Kanu, a familiar figure appeared on the shore. Akon, the man who had once allied with the dark spirits. He looked ragged and desperate. "You!" Adia whispered, her fists clenching. "Why are you here?" Akon approached her, his face gaunt. I know I've done terrible things, but you must believe me. The dark forces are returning. They've found another way to corrupt the river, and they're stronger than ever." Adia's anger flared. "And why should I trust you after everything?" Ekan fell to his knees, pleading, "Because I want redemption. I can help you. I know their weaknesses. I don't want to see this village fall." Adia hesitated. She could feel the truth in his words, but her trust in him was broken. "You'll have to earn that trust again, Ekan." But as she turned away, she couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness was creeping closer. And this time, it might be stronger than before. That night, Adia found herself by the river, feeling the familiar pull of the water. The village was asleep, but Adia's heart was restless. She slipped into the river's cool embrace and swam to the submerged palace, where Kanu often waited. Tonight, however, there was something different in the air, a tension neither of them could ignore. When she reached the palace, Kanu was already there, his ethereal form glowing faintly under the moonlight filtering through the water. His eyes, usually so calm and wise, were clouded with worry. "Something's wrong," Adia said as she approached him. "You've been distant." Kanu hesitated, his gaze softening as she drew closer. "I'm not sure how to tell you this, Adia." She searched his face, feeling the weight of his words before they were spoken. "Tell me, please." Kanu reached out, his hand hovering just above hers. Though they had shared many moments together, this felt different, charged with an emotion they had both been avoiding. "I've grown to care for you, more deeply than I ever thought possible. But this, what we are, it's dangerous." Adia's heart skipped a beat. "Dangerous? Why?" "I feel it too, Kanu. I love you." Kanu's face darkened with sorrow. "The river connects all things, Adia, but it also divides us. I am bound to the water, to this world beneath the surface. You belong to the land. If we are to continue down this path, it could bring imbalance, not just to us, but to everything connected to the river." Adia shook her head, her emotions swirling like the currents around them. "No, I refuse to believe that. We were brought together for a reason. The river may connect all things, but it doesn't have to keep us apart." Kanu's hand finally met hers, and in that moment, everything felt right. But deep down, both of them knew that their love came with a price, one neither of them fully understood yet. Days passed, and while Adia's love for Kanu deepened, so did the conflicts inside her heart. Each time she returned to the village, she felt the weight of her responsibilities pressing down on her. The villagers looked up to her as the guardian of the river, trusting her to protect them from the dark forces that still lingered. But how could she protect them when her heart was torn between her duty and her love for Kanu? One evening, as the sun began to set, Adia stood at the riverbank, gazing at the shimmering water. She thought of Kanu's words, how their love could disturb the delicate balance of the river and the land. But was it really true? Could love be dangerous? Ekan, who had been working tirelessly to earn the village's trust again, approached her. His presence no longer filled her with anger, but with a cautious respect. He had made mistakes, but he was trying to make amends. "You look troubled," Ekan said softly, standing beside her. "Is it the dark forces?" Adia shook her head, her thoughts still on Kanu. "No, it's something else. Something personal." Ekan studied her for a moment before nodding. "Sometimes the things we love most are the hardest to hold on to, but they're also the things worth fighting for." Adia's chest tightened. She had never spoken to anyone about her feelings for Kanu, but Ekan's words hit close to home. "What if the thing I love puts everything else at risk?" Ekan turned to face her fully, his expression serious. "Then you find a way to balance it. The river may connect all things, Adia, but it doesn't control your heart. That's yours." Adia's gaze flicked back to the river. She had never thought of it that way. Perhaps love and duty didn't have to be opposing forces. Perhaps, like the river, they could flow together. But as much as Adia wanted to believe in the balance between her love and her duty, The storm that approached her village told a different story. The air grew thick with tension, and the once peaceful river began to churn with an unnatural ferocity. It was clear something dark was stirring in the depths once again. One night, as Adia stood by the river, Kanu emerged from the water with a look of desperation on his face. The water around him swirled violently, reflecting the turmoil that had been brewing beneath the surface. "Adia, we don't have much time," Kanu said, his voice strained. "The dark forces, they've found a way to breach the barrier I created. They're stronger now, more focused." Adia's heart sank. "How is that possible? I thought we had stopped them." Kanu shook his head. "The river connects all things, Adia, but it also flows through realms we cannot see. These dark forces, they've found allies in places I cannot reach." Adia's mind raced. The village wasn't prepared for another attack, not after everything they had already endured. "What do we do?" Kanu's eyes softened as he reached out to her. "We fight together. But there's something I haven't told you. The connection between the river and the land. It's weakening. And if it breaks, not only will the dark forces overrun the village, but I will be lost to you forever." Adia's breath caught in her throat. There has to be another way. Kanu's gaze held hers, full of sorrow and determination. "There might be, but it will come at a great cost. The river's balance must be restored, and I may have to make a choice, one that could tear us apart." Adia felt the weight of his words like a heavy stone sinking in her chest. The storm was coming, and with it, choices that neither of them were prepared to make. The following day, the river began to flood. The villagers watched in horror as the water levels rose, faster than anyone had seen before. The sky darkened, and a sense of dread settled over Soma, like a suffocating blanket. Adia knew the time had come. She had to act, but she was unsure if her heart was strong enough to face what lay ahead. As she ran to the riverbank, she saw Kanu waiting for her, his face pale with worry. The waters around him were violent, thrashing as though they were alive with anger. "It's happening," Kanu said gravely. "The dark forces are using the river as a conduit. They're trying to sever the connection between the water and the land." Adia felt her pulse quicken. "How do we stop them?" Kanu hesitated, his eyes filled with sorrow. "I don't know if we can." Before Adia could respond, a dark figure emerged from the swirling waters, a shadowy entity with glowing red eyes, its body shifting like smoke and water combined. It spoke in a voice that seemed to echo through the river and the air around them. "The river connects all things," it hissed, "but now it will be ours." Adia's blood ran cold. This creature, this embodiment of the dark forces, was more powerful than anything she had faced before. She glanced at Kanu, whose form flickered, as though he were struggling to maintain his presence. "Kanu," she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. He looked at her, his expression torn between love and duty. "Adia, I can hold it off, but not for long." Adia knew what he meant. If he fought this creature, it would drain him, possibly destroy him. "No," she pleaded. "We'll find another way." But Kanu's eyes were resolute. "The river connects all things, Adia, and sometimes it requires a sacrifice." The battle began before Adia could fully grasp the gravity of Kanu's words. He surged forward, his form glowing with an otherworldly light as he clashed with the dark spirit. The water around them roared, crashing and thrashing with the force of their struggle. Adia stood at the edge of the river, her heart pounding in her chest, torn between rushing in to help and staying back to honor Kanu's plea. "Kanu!" she shouted, but her voice was drowned out by the fury of the battle. The dark spirit laughed, its voice like nails scraping against glass. "You think you can stop me, spirit of the river? You are bound to this water, but I am bound to nothing." Adia's heart ached as she watched Kanu struggle. He was powerful, but the dark spirit's words rang true. Kanu was tied to the river, and it limited his strength. The longer the battle went on, the more Kanu seemed to weaken. Adia's mind raced. There had to be something she could do. She couldn't just stand by and watch the man she loved fade away. "The river connects all things," she muttered, remembering the phrase that had guided her throughout this journey. If it was true, then there must be a way to use that connection to her advantage. Her eyes landed on the river, and an idea began to form. What if she could channel the river's energy, connect herself to it like Kanu had? If the river connected all things, then maybe, just maybe, it could connect her to Kanu in a way that would strengthen him. Without a second thought, Adia plunged into the river, her body immediately enveloped by the cool, rushing water. She swam toward Kanu, who was locked in a fierce struggle with the dark spirit. "Adia, no!" Kanu shouted when he saw her approach. But Adia ignored him. She reached out, her hand finding his. The moment their skin touched, something incredible happened. A surge of energy flowed between them, like the river itself was pouring its power into them both. Kanu's eyes widened in surprise. "What are you doing?" "I'm helping you," Adia said, her voice steady. "The river connects all things. Let it connect us." The moment Adia and Kanu's hands connected, the river surged around them with a newfound force. The dark spirit hissed in fury, recoiling as the water pulsed with an energy it had not anticipated. The connection between Adia and Kanu deepened, and with it, a new power emerged, one that neither of them had fully understood before. "I can feel it," Adia whispered, her eyes wide with realization. "The river's energy, it's flowing through me." Kanu looked at her, his expression a mix of awe and fear. "Adia, this is dangerous. You're not bound to the river like I am, if you take on too much." But Adia shook her head. "No, the river connects all things, Kanu. I was meant to help you. Together we're stronger." The dark spirit shrieked, its voice piercing the air around them. "You think you can defeat me with your love? Foolish mortals. The river may connect all things, but it will never be enough to stop what's coming." Adia and Kanu stood side by side, their hands still clasped, as the river's energy flowed between them. They could feel the power building, growing stronger with each passing second. The dark spirit lunged at them, but this time they were ready. Together, they raised their free hands, and the river responded. A massive wave surged forward, crashing into the dark spirit with a force that shook the very earth beneath them. The spirit screamed in agony as the water enveloped it, dragging it back into the depths from which it had come. For a moment, everything was still. The water calmed and the sky cleared, as if the world itself had taken a deep breath. But Adia and Kanu knew that the battle was far from over. As they stood on the riverbank, panting from the exertion, Kanu looked at Adia with a mixture of relief and sorrow. "We've won this battle," he said softly. "But the war is far from over. The dark forces will return, and next time, they will be even stronger." Adia nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of his words. She knew he was right, but for now, they had each other, and that was enough. As the river calmed and the village celebrated their victory, Adia and Kanu retreated to the quiet shore, away from the cheering crowds. The exhaustion of the battle weighed heavily on both of them, but something else lingered in the air, something unspoken. Kanu, his form flickering slightly, sat beside Adia, his hand resting on the cool earth. "There's a price to everything, Adia, even victory." Adia turned to him, her heart sinking. "What do you mean?" Kanu's gaze was distant, fixed on the river as it flowed peacefully beside them. "The dark forces are not gone. We've only delayed them, and the connection we've formed, it's powerful, yes, but it comes with a cost." Adia's brow furrowed. "What cost?" Kanu hesitated, then turned to face her, his expression filled with sorrow. "I can feel it, Adia. The river, it's pulling me deeper. Every time I fight the dark forces, every time I use its power, I become more bound to it. Soon, I may not be able to return to the surface. Adia's heart clenched with fear. No, that can't be true. We'll find a way to keep you here. Kanu shook his head, his eyes filled with resignation. The river connects all things, but it also has its own will. I'm a part of it, and I always will be. But you belong to the land. Adia refused to accept it. No, we're connected, Kanu. The river brought us together. I won't lose you. Kanu smiled sadly, reaching out to cup her face. You won't lose me, Adia. I'll always be with you through the river. But we have to face the reality of what's coming. The dark forces will return, and when they do, I may not be able to fight by your side. Adia's eyes filled with tears. She had fought so hard to protect the village, to protect the river, but now it felt like everything was slipping away. I can't do this without you, she whispered. Kanu's thumb brushed away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. You're stronger than you think, Adia. The river connects all things, and it will guide you, even if I'm not there. As the days passed, the village returned to normal, but the sense of impending doom never left Adia's mind. She visited the river every day, hoping to find Kanu, but he appeared less frequently, and when he did, his form seemed weaker, more ethereal. It was as though the river was slowly pulling him away, deeper into its depths. One evening, as Adia stood by the river, she noticed something strange. The water, which had been calm for weeks, began to ripple unnaturally. The sky darkened, and a chill ran through the air. Adia's heart raced. Something was coming. Suddenly, the water erupted, and a figure emerged from the depths. It wasn't Kanu, but a new spirit, a dark, twisted being with eyes that glowed red like embers. Its voice was low and menacing as it spoke. The river connects all things, but you are not meant to control it. Adia's blood ran cold. This was a new threat, more dangerous than the last. The dark forces had returned, and this time, they were stronger. What do you want? Adia demanded, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her heart. The dark spirit sneered, its form shifting like smoke. The river has chosen sides, and it has chosen poorly. You and that spirit boy have disturbed the balance, and now, you will pay the price. Adia's fists clenched at her sides. She wouldn't let this creature intimidate her. She had fought before, and she would fight again. But the spirit's words gnawed at her. Had she and Kanu truly disturbed the balance of the river? Was their connection to blame for the dark forces' return? Before she could respond, the spirit lunged at her, its form expanding like a dark cloud. Adia reacted instinctively, raising her hand to summon the river's energy. The water surged around her, forming a protective barrier, but she could feel the strain. This new spirit was more powerful than anything she had faced before. And Kanu was nowhere to be seen. Adia fought with everything she had, but the dark spirit was relentless. Each time she called upon the river's power, it pushed back harder, testing her limits. She could feel her strength waning, her connection to the river faltering. The dark spirit's laughter echoed in her ears, mocking her every move. You cannot win, it hissed, its voice slithering through the air like poison. The river connects all things, but it will not save you this time. Adia gritted her teeth, refusing to give in. She had come too far to let this creature take everything from her. She thought of Kanu, of the sacrifices they had made together, and a surge of determination filled her heart. But just as the spirit closed in, a familiar voice echoed through the water. The river connects all things, but it also chooses. Adia's heart leaped. Kanu. From the depths of the river, Kanu emerged, his form glowing brighter than ever before. He was weakened, but his resolve was stronger than the current that bound him. He stood beside Adia, his hand reaching out to hers. We'll fight together, Kanu said, his voice steady despite the pain in his eyes. The river chose us for a reason. Adia nodded, her heart swelling with both love and fear. They stood side by side, the river's energy coursing through them as they faced the dark spirit together. The battle was fierce, but as Kanu and Adia combined their powers, the tide began to turn. The river responded to their call, rising up with a force that even the dark spirit could not withstand. The creature screamed in rage as the water engulfed it, dragging it back into the depths from which it had come. For a moment, everything was still. The water calmed, the sky cleared, and the threat seemed to have passed. But as Adia turned to Kanu, she saw the truth in his eyes. "The river connects all things," he whispered, his voice breaking. "But it also knows when to let go." Adia's heart shattered as Kanu's form began to fade. He smiled at her, his hand slipping from hers as the water pulled him back into its embrace. "No!" Adia cried, tears streaming down her face. "Kanu, please, don't leave me!" But it was too late. The river had made its choice. As Kanu disappeared beneath the surface, Adia fell to her knees by the water's edge, her body shaking with sobs. The village was safe, the dark forces defeated. But at what cost? "The river connects all things," she whispered through her tears. "But it also takes the ones we love." The wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it a soft, familiar whisper. "I'm still with you, Adia. Always." Adia clutched her chest, feeling the ache of loss, but also the warmth of Kanu's love. She knew that his sacrifice had saved them all, but the pain of his absence would linger like a shadow over her heart. And as the river flowed quietly beside her, Adia vowed to protect it, no matter what. Did you enjoy Adia's courageous journey through the mysteries of the river? The story is far from over, and the dangers lurking beneath the surface are only getting stronger. Join us as we continue to follow Adia's fight to protect her village, her heart, and the balance of the river. If you're as curious as we are about what happens next, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Like the video if Adia's bravery inspired you, and leave a comment below. What do you think the river's next secret will be? Your thoughts and support fuel the next adventure, and we can't wait to hear from you.